Okay, so we'll do Or HaChaim tonight, and he comments, among many other things, obviously, on the fact that it says in the pasuk that I appeared to Abraham, to Yitzchak, and to Yaakov as Kel Shakai, but through my name Hashem, I did not become known to them. So what's the question? The first question he is raising here is, why does it say to Abraham, to Yitzchak, to Yaakov, El Abraham, right? El Yitzchak, El Yaakov. Why couldn't it just say, I appeared to Abraham, comma, Yitzchak, comma, Yaakov, right? Why does the Torah introduce each of the three forefathers with a personal introduction saying to this one, to this one, to this one, right? So that's the first question he wants to answer. He says the answer is because each of the forefathers had a different, special, elevated quality with which he experienced revelation of Hashem. So, starting with Abraham, who was uniquely elevated due to the fact that Abraham was the one who recognized his creator first, right? Without first having any experience of Hashem, he recognized him by himself, right? Because all of us right now, the way we know about Hashem is, our parents teach us, they send us to Jewish school, maybe some parents send their kids to a Sunday school, there's, synagogues all over the place, there's various Jewish institutions, and so on and so forth. We have a tradition, we have books, we have schools, the whole system of, tradition and teaching about Hashem. So if you're born a Jew nowadays, all of that knowledge is more or less available to you. More or less, I say more or less because, like, for someone like me who was born and grew up in Soviet Union where Yiddishkeit was illegal and there was no Jewish schools and no Jewish institutions and so on and so forth. So obviously the Jews in Soviet Union knew a lot less than a Jew in America should know, right? Not that every Jew in America is extremely knowledgeable in the ways of Hashem, but at least, things are available, and whether you want it or not, even if you are, far from religious life or whatever, still the level of exposure here is tremendous. So at bottom line, a person knows there is Hashem, and what do they do with that knowledge? That's the next question. But he says the uniqueness of Abraham was he didn't have any of that. He had even less than Jews in Soviet Union. Nobody taught him about Hashem when he was born. He was born in a country which was definitely not focused on Hashem at all. As a matter of fact, when Abraham was trying to teach people about Hashem, ultimately the dictator of that country, the Ayatollah by the name Nimrod, wanted to have him executed for that. And his father had an exclusive contract with the government to produce idols for the crown, right? So the last thing he would have been taught at home is Hashem. Like he says, the unique quality of Abraham is that, unlike his son and grandkids and the rest of us, he had to find it for himself. He was literally the pioneer of a true, real kosher monotheism for himself. And that established how he interacted with Hashem for the rest of his life. And says Or HaChaim, for the rest of us, now that the knowledge of Hashem, thanks to Abraham and those that he raised, is far and wide available to everyone, it says nowadays any intelligent person, says Or HaChaim, will, given the choice, follows that which is good. Why would you not? Right? And it says, obviously, you have to be what he's calling here a maskil, right? You have to be an intelligent person who is, given the information, is absorbing that information, contemplating upon it, taking it seriously, whatever. So, but it says any normal intelligent person will obviously, will want what's good for him, and so it's an easy choice nowadays. But Abraham didn't have this choice. So he says that's how Abraham found his way to it, and what was the driving force behind Abraham's quest for finding Hashem. He was seeking the emes. He was trying to find the truth of reality. And this is how, to digress into how Rambam describes that. Rambam says that that one who serves Hashem out of love and who engages in Torah study and fulfills mitzvahs and goes in the ways of wisdom, not for any other reason in the world, not for fear of harm, not for hope of benefit, but does what is true only because it's true. Emes mipnei shehu emes, right? A person that does something only because that is the true and the right thing to do, right? Not because he's afraid that he's going to get punished if he violates the mitzvahs, or he's hoping Hashem is going to reward him for keeping the mitzvahs. No. A person does it because this is the right thing to do. He says, such a person, this is the level of Abraham Avinu, whom Hashem called the one who loves him. Right? For Abraham served Hashem out of pure love, not for any ulterior reasons. So he says this was the unique quality of Abraham, and this is how he attached himself to Hashem. So when Hashem introduces the forefathers here, he says how he interacted with them. That's why he says to Abraham, because Hashem's revelation to Abraham was on account of his own unique way of seeking truth and seeking Hashem. Then it says El Yitzchak, to Yitzchak, right? And Yitzchak had his unique way. We call it Pachad Yitzchak, the trepidation of Yitzchak, right? Yitzchak was a person who was ready, if Hashem so wills, to lay down on the altar and without any hesitation to give his life to Hashem if that's what Hashem wants, right? So that was Yitzchak's unique way. And Or HaChaim says, that's why it says, again, it doesn't just say to Abraham, comma, Yitzchak. It says to Abraham, to Yitzchak, because Hashem says, I revealed myself to them, but to each one of them, I revealed myself in a different way because each one of them was unique, and each one of them followed a unique pioneer path towards the truth in their own way. And it was a fundamental accomplishment of the universal level, worthy of being introduced separately from another one. And it says, what's the uniqueness of Yaakov Avinu? He says, Yaakov Avinu is the first one whom we call Shalem, wholesome. Right? Why is Yaakov Avinu wholesome? Because he says that what's the politically correct way to say this? He says that no, is using the term tipa meusa. I guess you would say this is like a rejected drop, right? Meaning descendants, right? Because Abraham and Yitzchak had a 50-50 success ratio with their kids. Abraham had a holy child, Yitzchak, and then Lo Aleinu, he had Ishmael. And the same way was Yitzchak. He had a holy child, Yaakov, and he had Esau. And Yaakov, his uniqueness was that he managed to be so wholesome in life, including his family life and relationship, even though he had extremely complex family dynamic, as we know, right? But despite all that, he managed to raise 12 wonderful boys and a girl who were all righteous, to the point where the boys merited to be the progenitors of the tribes of Israel, right? The 12 Shvatim. So that was the past in the unique accomplishment of Yaakov Avinu. Not that it was the only accomplishment of Yaakov Avinu. Obviously, there's a long list, but these are the key things that he's choosing here to say that each of the forefathers was so special to me and so unique in their own way. And says Hashem, despite their uniqueness, I only revealed myself to them with the name Kel Shakai, and my name Hashem I did not reveal, I did not make known to them. Right? Meaning that despite of all this amazing accomplishment of the forefathers, I did not reveal this loftiest name that I have to them, and I did reveal it to you, Moshe, and you're complaining. What do you do with it? You question, right? Because this is in response to Moshe Rabbeinu saying, you told me to go and tell the Pharaoh, let my people go. And instead, now their life became even harder. Now they got to get their own straw to make the bricks. Making the bricks was miserable enough, but at least they were given the straw to make the bricks. And now they've got to first get the straw and then make the same amount of bricks. Like, what did we accomplish? Why did you send me and said that you're going to bring them to Geulah, and instead their life became even harder? So Hashem responds and says, whoa, hold on a second. Think you're a little bit overreacting here, Moshe. And explains why he feels that way. So he says, I raised you to the level of importance even higher than Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. You're focusing on the wrong things. Like, sometimes you have to just give it a moment, right? We want things as soon as possible. And every second of delay, it's, for us, when we want something really bad, even if it's totally deserved, like, nobody says that wanting to get out of slavery is the wrong thing as soon as possible. Obviously, it's the right thing to want, No one can blame the people of Iran right now that they don't want to be ruled by degenerate Ayatollah and Islamist murderers, that ruled them and terrorized them for the past 47 years. That's a normal human emotion and totally justified desire. But Hashem says here, I understand that. But I got involved personally. I'm revealing to you myself on the highest level. Maybe under such circumstances, when there's a direct involvement of creator of the universe, and he says he has a plan, maybe just, give me a chance. Give me a chance. I don't know if the other guy will do good on his word to help the other people, but Hashem, for sure, when he says he's going to do something, he's going to do something, and it's going to work, period. So continue on the idea of the difference of how Hashem revealed himself to Avos versus Moshe Rabbeinu. The question one can ask, wait a second, there's plenty of psukim when we see that Hashem revealed himself in the name of Hashem to forefathers. Like, if you go back to the book of Bereshit, careful enough, you'll find psukim that, will say, Va'era elav Hashem, Daber Hashem, and so on and so forth, to the forefathers. So what does Hashem even mean? So he says, it's not to say that the forefathers had no idea about Hashem's name of Yud-Kei, Vav-Kei, and what it means and how it revealed itself in the world. They were aware of existence of such name, of its theoretical possibility. But for them, it was just a theoretical possibility. It's not how Hashem interacted with them, because each name Hashem has is a different way of interacting with people. Right? Name Elohim is when he interacts with somebody as a judge. And name Hashem is when he interacts with someone as a merciful father. The name Kel Shaddai is more similar to name Elohim. It means the one who said, the God that said enough or stop, right? Right. So the difference between that and the name Elohim, just to digress, is the name Elohim is responsible for overall boundaries. The name Kel Shaddai is responsible for stopping something in motion at the right moment, right? So he says, yes, they knew about it, but for them it was a theoretical knowledge. It's not how I interacted with them in their life. So they knew there's this great thing. They didn't experience it personally. It's like when my wife and our friends took my daughter and their daughter to Miami to put them on a plane to the seminary. They went to some sort of like all-you-can-eat Brazilian kosher steakhouse in Miami, which I never been to. And they told me it's wonderful. It's just like, mamash, probably how restaurants are going to be when Moshe comes. And, it's like amazing. Well, I know about it. I can visualize in my mind what they described to me, but I didn't get a chance to go to that restaurant. So as great as it sounds, until I get to go to Miami myself and actually go there, for me, it's just a nice theory. Now, for my wife, it's an experience. For me, it's just, oh yes, there's such a great restaurant. I wish I drove there too. So he said that's kind of like, yes, they knew about this name, but they didn't experience on a personal level. So he also says that the pasuk wants to convey the idea that Hashem is responding to Moshe regarding his complaint that if there is a set time for Geulah, why did you send me before? Like if there's a whole another year or something before the Jews actually get out of here, why send me now? You sent me now. I came. I told Pharaoh what I said. Instead of getting out, the Jews now have to work even harder. They are disappointed. Pharaoh is pissed off. So far, we didn't accomplish much. Send me when you're actually ready to take him out. You told me, go and take my people out. But we didn't get anyone out. Why couldn't you tell me if the time didn't come? If the time is whatever, a year from now, then send me a year from now. You should have sent me a year from now. I would have came. I would say, let my people go. And we would pack. And Delta would resume direct flights to Tel Aviv. We would all get on board. And out we would go. Why did you send me now telling me to get them out when we're not accomplished what you said we were going to do? So he says, when I spoke to others, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and they all knew about Galut, and they all knew that there's going to be Geulah. The way they knew about Geulah is through that name of Kel Shaddai, which means enough. What does it mean, enough? Enough means there's a certain measure. When you get to that measure, it stops. All right, we said 400 years. When it gets to 400 years, I'll say enough, and for sure it's going to stop at that moment. And that's how Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov knew that Geulah can work. However, he says, that is not the only way how Geulah can happen. I have another name, and that name, Yud Kei Vav Kei, that name is me being merciful. And I can make Geulah happen through my quality of mercy, not through my other quality. And if I do it through my quality of mercy, it's a whole different story. I hear my people crying, begging for mercy, and I want to react to that. Now, I don't care that there may be another year to wait or 190 years to wait or whatever it may be. Yeah, that other name, if I was acting like that, then I would have to wait another 190 years or something. But that I want to wait. I want them to get to know this name right here and now, which is why I sent you. It may not be as fast as you thought. I told you yesterday it's going to happen tomorrow. Maybe it's going to happen in a week or in a year. But it's definitely going to happen quicker than it would have happened the other way. So he says that's why he's contrasting the two names. He said that the forefathers knew about Galut, and they knew how Geulah can happen with the name they were familiar with, which would be, this is the deadline, and that's when it's going to happen. It's not going to happen a second earlier, and it's not going to happen a second later. This is when it's going to happen no matter what. And I'm telling you right now, I'm going to make it happen before that. We don't need to wait. I feel like doing it right now. The time had come for my people to get to know me in a different light, in a much nicer, softer, merciful light. That's why he says, I'm Hashem. And then he says, similarly, he says, when I appear to Abraham or Yitzchak and Yaakov, says, Hashem says, how can I withhold my mercy from this nation? Right? Because this nation has such lofty forefathers. Because if you think about it, this is a very young nation. The whole nation is only a couple hundred years old. Just a few chapters ago, when we read about them going to Egypt, all they were 70 people. It was just one big family. It would be even a stretch to call them a nation at that point. Right? It's a very small nation with a very short history. And already in the span of this short history, they have these amazing people in their background. Right? Sometimes you have some nations exist for thousands of years on big spans of territories with millions of people and nothing to show for it. You know? Like I can name some countries right now, big countries with a couple 100 million people, and I can't even think of one remarkable person from that country or one scientific discovery that they made or something great that they did for humanity that you can say, oh yeah, these people, they invented this, or they did this, or they got this genius musician or whatever. Like there's plenty of countries that over millennia did not accomplish anything with millions of people. And Hashem says here we had a small, tiny little nation, a big family really. And even, with their small numbers in this short span of time, they have these spiritual giants that are unsurpassed, will never be matched by anyone else in the world. They had Abraham, they had Yitzchak, they had Yaakov, they had Yosef, they had the Shvatim in a short span of time. So he says, with a nation with such amazing past, how can I not right now reveal myself to them in a merciful way and cut this whole vacation short? I'm being ironic, obviously. So he says that, what does that mean? That means that the math can work differently here. Right? Hashem said 400 years. Well, you could start counting the 400 years from different points in time. Chas v'shalom, somebody could say, well, you said they were going to be in Galut for 400 years, and somebody is going to enslave them. When did they technically descend to Mitzrayim? Okay, 209 years ago at this point. Well, they got another 191 years to go. You said 400 years. There's plenty of time to go. Or even worse, we know that the slavery didn't start right away, right? As long as one of the brothers was still alive, until the last brother passed away, nobody dared touch the Jewish people. So it wasn't even a whole 210 years. It was even less than that. right? And enslavement didn't happen overnight. It took a little bit of time, and it was gearing up, and then eventually it happened. So somebody can say, well, we can't even start the counter until Levi died, right? Levi was the last one to die. Only then we can, when then the Pharaoh started passing, the new Pharaoh started passing all the horrible decrees and whatever. So that's really when the slavery started. And that's when the 400 counter should have started. And that would have taken us another good 200 years. So he says, what we're going to do now is in the contrast to the name El Shaddai, which is precise, we're going to utilize my name, my quality of the name Yud Kei Vav Kei, of me being merciful. And we're going to start the counter from the moment Yitzchak was born. Right? Because it says in the promise to Abraham that your descendants will be in the land that does not belong to them. Technically speaking, when Yitzchak was born in Eretz Israel, it was not Eretz Israel, it was Eretz Canaan. And he wasn't like a bona fide resident citizen there, right? We know the moment he got a little bit financially successful, he got deported from the city, and he had issues with Avimelech and so on and so forth. And then the same with Yaakov, and Yaakov had to run away to Lavan. And it wasn't Eretz Israel where they were the prime citizens and rulers. It was just a land where they lived, and they had a lot of issues. So Hashem says, we're going to get technical here. It was a land that was not of your belonged to your descendants from the moment your first descendant was born, which was Yitzchak. And we can start counting from then. And if we count from then all we got is right now another 11, 12 months. It's going to be 400, 24, 48, and off we go. So he says this is the difference between Geulah through the name Kel Shakai and Geulah through the name Yud Kei Vav Kei. If it was for the other name, who knows which way it could have been spun. But we're going to take the nice way, the best way possible. Yes, it's going to take another 11 months, 12 months, it's fine. In reality, very soon we're going to start the Makos. And once we start the Makos, we know this is the moment Hashem started punishing Mitzrayim with the plagues. All the slave labor instantly ceased. And in reality, for the next 12 months, 11 months, it was one nice televised countrywide show that Jews were observing through the windows of Egyptians finally getting what they deserve for the horrible atrocities that they committed over the past century, right? And in reality, you can already say that Geulah started the moment the enslaving stopped. So Hashem says, just wait a second, Moshe. I know you love Jewish people, and for you, even a second more of extra suffering is unacceptable. And I love you for it, and this is how the Jewish leaders should feel. And you should complain to me if the Jews are in trouble. But right now, just give me a second. I'll make it right. I'll make it right, I promise to you, which is why I chose to deal with my people right now through this special, holy, lofty name, which is the best case scenario for everybody. And it's all going to work out. All right. We're going to stop here.